Get this figure and more at Lunar Toy Store. Hey, my name is Jobby, and happiness truly is a warm gun. That's a popular Beatles song, which I mentioned for no reason at all. So a little background on this guy. This figure has been a long time coming. Many third-party companies have tried their hand at a masterpiece-style Megatron figure. One of them which I reviewed on this channel, namely the X-Transbots Apollyon. But I can safely say with the utmost confidence that the Masterpiece Transformers Megatron MP-36 blows Apollyon out of the water. Now I understand that the title of best Megatron figure ever is a bit of a heated debate. Some people absolutely despise what Takara Tomy has done with their favorite Decepticon leader, and of course you're entitled to your opinion, but with all due respect, fuck off. The painting of the sculpting on this figure is amazing, but what I won't stand behind is that this figure is the most show-accurate Megatron figure. I'd even argue that all of the Masterpiece-style Megatrons are equally show-accurate, because let's face it, the cartoon model was wildly inconsistent. However, out of all these different proportions, I prefer the proportions on this guy. But I do gotta admit that the back is a bit of a mess. Of course, this was because of the extremely complex transformation, which was a bitch to film. Please do not skip it when it comes up. But in terms of kibble on Transformers, this is definitely not the worst. Now what this guy has over a figure like Apollyon is the fact that it's actually really fun to handle this guy. On the topic of his weight, his feet are made out of die-cast metal, and I'm not completely sure if this barrel is die-cast metal. I don't know, my cold touch technique is failing me right now. As fun as it is to handle this guy, it brings up a minor issue. Moving this guy around leaves it vulnerable to paint chipping, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I guess I'm just blind about how much fun I'm having. And while we're talking about the paint, I'm actually not the biggest fan of the color they went with this figure. I actually prefer the brighter colors of Apollyon. Now I get the need for Takara to be show accurate, but even the cartoon was a brighter shade of gray, almost bordering on white sometimes. Maybe if the gray on here was just a lighter shade of gray, it would look better. Oh fuck. What Takara absolutely nailed was the chest. It's got just the right proportions, it's not too wide, and I'm sure that has to do with the fact that this chest is a fake. That's right, this thing does not end up as the side of the barrel of the gun mode. And because the chest is fake, you can easily replace it with this battle damage chest part. And I'm sure you Transformers fans know where this is going. You can switch out the beautifully sculpted face for terrifying and unnecessary, but an admirable attention to detail. As I was saying, you can switch out the face for a battle damage face. Looks amazing so far, but you can't fully replicate that famous scene without this mysterious gun that kind of appeared out of nowhere. I'm sure it belonged to another Decepticon in that battle. Leave it down in the comments below. That just tabs right into the hand and wrap the fingers around. Now I can truly say, it's over, Prime. You also get this lightsaber from the same movie, which also kinda came out of nowhere. That also tabs into his hand pretty easily. All of my fellow fans of Transformers the Only Movie are probably shitting their pants with joy. You could even remove the beam from the sword and put it in the barrel of the gun. But you can't really recreate the whole scene if you don't have this little shit. But that figure comes later. You also get a standard Masterpiece card with a picture and some stats. As for his other accessories, you get pretty much the same stuff you got with Apollyon. Which makes me wonder, is the key to Vector Sigma and the clone control helmet that important to Megatron as a character? I honestly couldn't say. I didn't grow up with the G1 show. Also, the key to Vector Sigma's die-cast metal, but who cares about this thing? But what I am familiar with is his Energon mace. You simply slide off his hand and slide the mace right in. But there's only so much poses a dangling chain can get you. That's where this posable chain comes in. What an amazing concept, and it's executed pretty well. But there's a part of me that wants a chain with more posability other than a swoop and a hinge joint, hinge joint, hinge joint, hinge joint. But you could get some decent poses with what you got. And speaking of poses, hold on, alternate faces. In addition to that battle damage face, you get the neutral face, the yelling face, and the maniacal grin, which has got to be my favorite in this set. And even though this silencer and this stock plays more into the gun mode, the silencer's got a pretty cool use in robot mode. And if this excessive shoulder cannon wasn't enough, you can take his fusion cannon, slide it right into here, and now he's got a gun face. I don't know. I honestly, As for the stock, it can cleverly convert into a stand, and it also can combine with the silencer to form a battle stand. Now this is pretty standard for Megatron figures, but this has gotta be the best execution of this idea. And if we just uncombine that, the stock by itself could actually act as a flight stand for this figure, which is seemingly hard to believe since this figure's so heavy, but it works fantastically. And now can we finally— Nope. No discussion about G1 Megatron is complete without mentioning the fusion cannon, and this guy's fusion cannon has some special features. Pretty cool feature, but that blast sound gets annoying after a while. But wait, there's more? You switch this clear red part up, Yamero? And if you know what he's saying, leave a translation for his quotes down below. I don't speak anime. I understand this is a Japanese figure, but I wish it was Frank Welker's voice.
Why throw away your life so recklessly? Such heroic nonsense. Ah, those were the good old days back on Cybertron. Didn't have to sneak around in these ugly-ass disguises.
And for his final sound effect gimmick... Maybe it's because I'm biased towards Frank Welker's original performance, but I wish instead of a sound effect gimmick, he would have had an LED. The batteries of this feature are located here, and you can see the LR44 batteries, which of course did not come with it. And finally, after all of ball joint at the head, which allows him to look up that far, and this part actually moves, which allows him to look down that far. The barrel on his back can actually swing forward, so it can be under his arm. Rotation at the arm, forward movement, arm moves out. These flaps on his back can move out of the way so you can spread his arm. Bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, up and down at the wrist, a wrist swivel, hinge at the thumb, hinge joint at the fingers, and a bend at the knuckle. The trigger finger's independent, but the other three fingers are not a problem. Ab crunch, swivel it up. Side skirts move out and rotate. Front skirt moves up, which allows for a beautiful kick. Can move back that far. Beautiful spread. Thigh swivel that's so tight that I don't understand how it got like this in packaging. Bend at the knee, up and down at the ankle, and a pivot. Megatron's posability makes me wish that the Masterpiece Optimus Prime could do more. And that figure's basically perfect. Being the great leader of the Decepticons, he better be a big boy. Here's Figma Academy, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, the Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and the X-Transbots Apollyon. And when seeing these two side by side, I could still say that Apollyon is not a bad figure. He's just no fun to handle and is a little lifeless. Now, something I absolutely love about this guy is that on first glance, it almost looks like this guy can't transform. That's how proportionate it looks. But of course, you see all those panel lines and that crappy back, and yeah, this was a terrible segue. Shoot me, please. And here we have his gun mode. And while the complex transformation may have looked like complete cancer, I can assure you it's very fun to do once you get the hang of it. And the fact that you could go from a tall, bulky robot to a relatively slim gun, this really is a masterpiece of Transformers engineering. As for the gun itself, it's definitely not perfect. Handle's a little bit too thick and the bottom is Kibble City, but I do prefer the overall proportions of this guy to Apollyon's gun mode. And yes, I actually went through hell for this comparison, so you better be fucking great. The sound effects still work on this mode, and now we can bring back the stock and the silencer. You just push this button and slide it onto here, and the silencer is a bit of a complicated situation. Now, there's been so many reports of the silencer getting stuck to the barrel, and that's because of a little attachment deep inside the silencer, which you can access by disassembling the silencer. Now, some people suggest to remove that attachment entirely, but that just results in a silencer with a loose fit. I suggest that you remove that attachment, sand it down, and put it back where it came from, or so help me. That allows you to attach the silencer, have it plug in, but also have it be easily removable and prevent paint chipping. And fucking hell, it looks amazing. Am I gonna get demonetized for glorifying a toy gun? Shitty social commentary aside, this is a pretty big gun. Monica, Godzilla, Optimus Prime, Apollyon. Now let's get this guy back to his robot mode so he can receive his fucking, you know I think it's amazing. If you are a huge Megatron fanboy like me, trust me, I have the MySpace page to prove it, you owe it to yourself to get this historical figure. I'm telling you, this guy is gonna be the standard for Megatron figures going forward, same as how MP-10 is the standard for Optimus Prime. But make sure to sell your kidneys first. Fuck off. It's really the only thing that's not amazing about the figure. The price is just insane. But regardless, this is an amazing figure and I highly recommend it. And if you're crazy enough to pony up the cash, why don't you get it at the Lunar Toy Store? What the fuck do you mean it's out of stock? Full transparency here, Lunar Toy Store did not give me this figure for free. This guy was so expensive that we actually had to split the cost. But while you wait for them to restock their Megatron, why don't you take a look at their other Transformers figures? So despite this guy being a gun, I really didn't play up that suicide angle like I usually do. How could I? The Masterpiece MP-36 Megatron is pure, unadulterated happiness. And you know what the Beatles say about happiness. Happiness is a warm gun. Happiness is a warm gun. Yes, it is. When I hold you in my arms, when I feel my finger on your trigger, I know nobody can do me no harm. Because happiness is a warm, yes it is. Don't you know that happiness is a warm gun, mama? Yeah. I need a fix 'cause I'm going down.